Hello and welcome to ThePrint. This is Triya Gulati, and as you can see, today we are at this really cool bar in Greater Kailash. Here I'm joined by Charu, who is a bartender at Somewhere Nowhere, and she is pouring me an old fashioned minus the alcohol. No, we are not day drinking, and yes, you heard it right, it's a cocktail without alcohol. Now, restaurants and bars have always treated sobriety as an exception. The menu was always limited. Apart from the fresh juices, tea, coffee, all you had were those overly sweet mocktails, the Coca-Colas of the world, and sometimes just water. But that is changing exponentially as sober drinking has become the new cool.
These zero-proof cocktails are fueling the rise of the sober curious movement, a trend largely driven by Gen Z, who are selling that not drinking is the new cool. Statistics from around the globe suggest that Gen Z is drinking less alcohol as compared to millennials. The share of Gen Zers born between 1997 and 2002 who say they plan to drink less alcohol in 2024 jumped 53% year over year, a NC Solutions report stated. Another report by IWSR revealed that temporary abstinence is gaining traction in India, particularly among younger LDA plus consumers. In 10 major Indian cities, 72% of affluent drinkers reported taking a break from alcohol for a period. According to Statista, Gen Z is spending far less on alcoholic beverages compared to previous generations. However, this doesn't mean Gen Z is cutting ties with alcohol altogether. Instead, they are redefining their relationship with it. With health and wellness now top priorities, this generation is opting for moderation over excess. India's nightlife still echoes with the sound of cocktail shakers. Only now, the buzz comes without the alcohol, and a bunch of brands like Sober, Catwalk, Botanics, and Sobriety Sips are cashing it out.
The world is divided into two set of people. One set of people who drink alcohol, one set of people who don't drink alcohol. The percentage, the ratio of people who drink alcohol is very small, and there's a huge chunk of people who don't prefer drinking alcohol or something like that. Alcohol is not a necessity in life. Alcohol is something that people drink for having recreational or fun element into their lives. Now, having said that, people have been drinking widely. Drinking scenes across the globe has been evolving. Somewhere in if you talk about the non-alcoholic drinks, also called in a funny way mocktails, has been prevalent in the industry for quite long. It's not that it's the new thing. People have been making non-alcoholic drinks. If you go to the CCDs of the world or the baristas of the world, these drinks have always been there. India didn't know the alcoholic mojito. They knew mojito or mojito, which is virgin mojito, way before that. These drinks has been in the society. Even if you take the simplest of kala khatta drink or the full jar sodas or these things, these are also non-alcoholic drinks. So it's not a new phenomena that has come into the market. It has come with a new name and a new direction towards the same. What has happened among people have become much more conscious about what they are drinking, what they are putting into their body. You can definitely say that COVID has a role to play during this for this particular thing. But the first thing that made it really sober or something which made it like zero proof or the low proof drinks quite popular was a brand called Seedlip. I think they were the trendsetter or the starters in regards to the same. They created, which is non-alcoholic distillates, you can say so. They were making liquids which had flavors in that. And these bottles were premium looking. They were perfectly sitting behind the bar, just like a normal alcohol bottle. When I was working with them quite long back, I understood the whole concept and the idea behind it. I was doing a project in London, and that's when I understood what happens as a culture in London, that whenever you finish your work, you'd go for knockoffs. Now, these knockoffs are very troublesome because if you start drinking every day, it becomes a habit, and then the body gets immune to it, and that leads to addictions and a lot of issues. Now, why you go for knockoffs? Because normally this is a time when you do socializing, you meet people, you interact, and it has become a normal norm that people go socialize, and while they're socializing, they're having a drink in their hand. Now, also in the same society, if you have a glass of cola or a fresh lime soda in your hand, people don't see you in a right way. Like they tend to make it like a fun. Like for example, especially in India, if you see there are a lot of memes going on when you're a college kid. It's like, "Abhe kya pee raha hai?
Yeah.
Hai na? Why you can't drink and
Yeah.
everything." So
Yeah.
I think Seedlip got the right mindset right there. They touched upon it. Now, when you go to a bar, you have a gin and tonic. You can go to a bar and you can say a Seedlip tonic. So you are having a drink which looks like a cocktail or a drink. It smells like a alcohol, but there is no alcohol that has been added to it, and that's the
Right.
territory that they targeted. And people across the London at that time were latching upon the same, and the seedlip menus became a permanent feature into bars. As everything is, people things travel, the concepts travel. The drinks also came into India market and everything.
Restaurants and bars like Burma, Soka, Iki and Gai, and many more have become crucial pillars of the sober movement by offering inspired alternatives to traditional alcohol centric experiences. As the sober curious trend grows, many venues are expanding their menus with zero proof cocktails. Plus, restaurants and bars are where the innovation happens. Mixologists experiment with textures, herbs, botanical infusions, and flavor combinations to make non alcoholic drinks as exciting as any cocktail. This elevates sober experiences from just going without to choosing something that tastes good, looks beautiful, and feels intentional.
What is inspiring these zero proof menus in restaurants?
I feel now is the time where beverages itself as a category is having its moment, right?
Okay.
You've seen, the coffee being taking such a center stage, right?
Hmm.
Then now tea is having its moment in all its forms. You say the matcha, you say the tea-based beverages, and not only that, the kombuchas and the bubble teas, right?
Right.
So definitely we see a trend following from the West to India in the 2 3 years to follow. So now India is having that moment, and sober sobriety and sober beverages and sober cocktails uh, have always been there around in the West. But what is the alternate for all of us who are going to a party, who want to have a tasty, probably a healthy or a cool beverage, and without added sugar, added flavors, right? And beyond your virgin mojitos and the pina coladas, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing virtually for us. So,
Yeah.
so happy that, you know, even with the bar movement, there's also like a parallel universe of the zero proof cocktail menu movement also happening in India.
Right. But do you think that is this just a passing trend, or do you think that this movement is going to stay here and is going to become part of the eating out culture?
I think it is just the beginning. We've not even uh, capitalized on it, and it is here to stay and in different forms as well, right? So not
Okay.
only the sober beverages or the coolers or the kombucha, you've got zero proof cocktails that are coming uh, in the menu, and with all those methods and procedures which an actual bar program has, right? The sous vide, the clarification, the pre-batch, right? So all those techniques and application we apply to the same method in zero proof cocktail menu. And in our personal opinion, it's been 1 month since we've launched it from our Palladium restaurant at Gourmet Village, Mumbai, and the response has been phenomenal, right?
Right.
So excited to see where people's likes are moving towards and the trends are moving towards.
Right. So, Ankit, my next question was exactly about your sober menu, your zero proof menu. How did you curate it? What went behind it? Could you give us some stories? How difficult or challenging was it to mimic the cocktails but minus the tipsiness?
Uh, yeah, we tell everyone that if you have a zero proof cocktails, you will feel a little tipsy by the end of it, right?
Okay.
Because the kind of ingredients that we use agave spirit, we use zero proof gin, right, with all the botanicals, and some of them even have like a natural caffeine added to it uh,
Mhm.
to give you that effect. Uh, it took us 7 to 8 months to come up with our entire zero proof beverage menu, and we've done
Okay.
it in cahoots with one of the leading bars in India, which is Soka, led by Avinash Kapoli. It's listed as the top 50 bars of Asia this year, and we all you see we believe in collaboration, and with all our menus we feel that unless and until we tie up and collaborate with the best in the business, the end result and end product will not be up to the mark. And that's why the team got together. There was an exchange of information on what ingredients do Burmese people use, what ingredients do we get in our local surroundings, and then what are the different equipments and machines that are required to get that end product, because some of the methods are very, very detailed. It takes over 2 to 3 days to make some of our batches,
Okay.
and it was a really a fun exercise, right? It's not something which falls in our domain, and
Right.
we had a blast doing it. We had an ice program made for it, we had different equipments made for it, and finally the result was our 7 unique zero proof cocktail menu. It has gin, it has whiskey, it has tequila, it has rum, but without the alcohol, right? And
So so when you say that tequila, gin, rum without the alcohol, so what has been used as the base spirit?
so what we do is a lot of clarification is done, a lot of sous vide method is done. We use agar agar for to clarify it, put the same botanicals what you get inside a gin, right?
Okay.
And like the juniper berries and the acai root, right? And we extract the spirit out of it. So it has the same flavor and taste profile, right? And from
Mhm.
that, we start building on our cocktails.
Now, many bars and restaurants have stepped away from the sugary syrups. They now use non alcoholic base spirits to craft cocktails that smell and taste like traditional gin but without the buzz. One Indian company leading the way is Sober, the first Indian brand to launch distilled non alcoholic spirits. The idea is flavor and experience stay the same, the alcohol is removed.
So today we are joined by Vansh, who is the founder of India's first non-alcoholic spirit brand, Sober. Vansh, welcome to the print.
Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about your brand and what led you to create a product like Sober, we first want you to educate our customers on what is zero ABV.
So zero ABV is pretty much what the word means zero. That means zero alcohol or no alcohol. When you see any other spirits like tequila, whiskey, gin, vodka, you'll see at the back label it says sometimes 38%, 40%. So that's alcohol by volume. That's
Right.
what ABV means. When we say zero ABV, it means there's zero alcohol whatsoever.
So your Sober,
Right.
Sober gin, is that also zero ABV?
All of them. So we have sober gin, we have sober whiskey, we have sober rum, we have sober pink gin as well. We're creating our own sober vodka very soon, working on agave. Even the wines, they're all zero proof and zero ABV.
What is the story behind starting Sober? Was it like a personal journey that you made?
Yeah, it's a mix of all. So typically, for somebody to start a brand like Sober, the first question is why would anyone even think of that, or why would anyone do that, right? But there were a series of events that kept happening. This is post, not really pandemic, but the first couple of lockdowns that happened,
Right.
where everybody's sitting at home and very creative, and everybody's
Yeah.
thinking, what could be the next big thing, because we have all the time in the world. And I was always in F&B, so I thought let me do something which is less capital intensive, but at the same time stick to F&B, which I know best, right? So while discussing with one of my friends who is also the founder of Samsara Gin, while we were creating that, it was just a joke. We were like, if alcohol has so many things like, with the label registration, the excise duties, why don't we just make one without alcohol? It'll be less capital intensive and it'll be easy to start. And everybody laughed at it, including myself. But a series of events that kept happening, like I said, where you come over, you come home and you see this text message from your friend, and she said, "Hey guys, I'm expecting." So that's one of my first friends from school, like, who got married at a very early age. So all of us go to her house with a bottle of wine, bottle of champagne, and then we go like, cheers. And then she goes like, wait 1 second, can I get my nimbu pani? And then because we were so naive and young at the time, we were like, okay, wow, you're not going to be drinking for the next 9 months. And not that I think of her as someone who is an alcoholic or something, but she enjoys a nice cocktail, a gin and tonic, or
Yeah.
even a prosecco, Sunday brunches and all. So I was like, what if you could have something non-alcoholic for the next 9 months? Would you want to have it? She's like, please sign me up right now. Come back home, and then I see my dad struggling to make his ritual right? So my dad, ever since I've known him, had this ritual like any other Punjabi father that I have known at least, where they come home and they make their 2 drinks of whiskey and watch
Yeah.
their television, right? And this is pretty much never to get drunk, but it's just a ritual. The ice comes, the soda comes,
Yeah.
there's a nice ice box kept there, and he's just unwinding, and just 2 drinks and that's it. So right when this COVID pandemic happened, people with like comorbidities were the first people, like, we told them, let's avoid alcohol at least, like let's avoid smoking, let's avoid alcohol. So he was like, okay, the doctor has to, because we don't know at that time what COVID is, right? So he's just thinking, okay, I cannot drink anymore, but what do I do? So he's making those coffee trends that were happening, that was keeping him up all night. He tried various other things, but he missed that ritual more than the fact of getting high on it, but he missed the ritual, the taste of it, the whole unwinding that he got from it, the smell of it also, the entire experience.
Yeah.
It is never, when we say alcohol, very few, or maybe there's a big market and that's not someone that I cater to. Very few of them, according to me at least, are only thinking to get drunk, at least the market that we're catering to, right? It is the whole experience. It's how the bottle looks like. It is how when you open the bottle, the aroma that comes
The
with
aroma,
it, right?
yeah, right.
And many other things that go with it. So I wanted to replicate all of that in one. So that was a second instance. And then if you think about it, like, in the last 5 years, cocktail culture is so big, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's having a fair share of their picantes, palomas, negronis, old fashions. So what happens when you go to a nice bar that you see in one of those top 30, top 50 lists and you don't drink, right? At that time, you're just sitting there and looking at the mixologist, and the mixologist will serve every other customer at the bar but you. You'll probably be the last one on his agenda, on his mind. That's when I was like, you know what, we have a what people say, okay, it's a niche market. I think it's the biggest market, right? Because if cocktails are growing, our population is growing, going out is growing, socializing is growing, wellness is growing, then I don't think it's a niche market at all. So yeah.
Right. But once, creating a spirit which looks and tastes like the alcoholic spirits, but still is like zero alcohol, it must
Right.
have been a challenge, right?
I mean, challenge to make it.
Yeah.
We still face it every day. The inspiration came from, very honestly, this is still a very new industry worldwide as well, right? It's only like, I think 2016 or 2017 when somebody made the first world's non-alcoholic spirit brand, right? This is back in 2017, I believe, right? But the inspiration goes a little far back, where we have been seeing, maybe a little later on in India, but when I was studying in the US as well, non-alcoholic beers were our inspiration,
Yeah.
right? Where big brands like Heineken 0.0, Budweiser
Budweiser,
0.0,
yeah.
Corona Zero, and all these, everyone pretty much, right? If they could replicate the same thing and still call it a non-alcoholic beer, so someone who doesn't want the alcohol, I don't like a beer like traditionally, but if you're watching a nice football game with your friends, I would always tell them, give me the zero proof one, right? I did that in college all the time, right?
Right.
So that was the first inspiration. But to come back here and then have somebody, go up to a brewer or a distiller and be like, hey, make me a gin without the alcohol, not that easy, right? But luckily, like I said, like, my friend who owns Samsara, it was not easy for us, obviously, to get the taste right, but the logistics seemed easier.
Okay.
If you see our bottles of Sober, they look pretty much the same as Samsara as well. They are the same bottles. So it was easy logistically, but to get the taste right, we started thinking about it in 2020. We didn't launch till 2021 December. So that took a while. And then to get the whiskey right, which is in India everybody's go-to drink,
Yeah.
that took us about 2.5 years actually to get it right.
To get the whiskey, to get
To
the
get the
aroma and
taste
the
right,
flavor.
to get back-to-back samplings, make everybody try it. So the whole idea
But so
was...
how did you make a whiskey? How did you make a spirit that resembles a whiskey, but
Right.
still it's not alcoholic?
So
I'm sure. See, I know that you wouldn't want to reveal the tricks of
trade
the
secret.
trade.
Yeah, of course.
But still, give us an idea about how did you go about making it?
Couple of ways to make a non-alcoholic spirit. There's a way how people make it overseas. That's not how we make it, but it's good that everybody knows how that's made as well. This is how big brands make it. Like, when you go to Tanqueray opened or something like that, right? Or any big alcoholic brand that makes a zero proof, they actually make the alcoholic spirit first, and then they remove the alcohol from it. So it's an alcohol remove method, right? The way we make it.
And I'm so sorry, how do you remove the alcohol?
There's a process, there's a de-steaming process, there's machinery, there's tools and everything. The way we make it is a little different. Because we didn't have the capital to buy those tools, right? That was the first thing. But second, we also did not want to be 0.5% also. We wanted to be 0.000% from the start, right? If you're catering to somebody who doesn't want alcohol, let's be zero from step one, right? So we make exactly the way any of your alcohol is made. Instead of adding that last step of an ENA like ethanol, we do it in water. So everything is distilled and brewed in the same exact way. Beyond that would be revealing a trade secret. So that's pretty much. But the flavors, the botanicals, it's the distillate that's made. It's exactly the same way.
All right. How big? You said that this market, which initially many people thought was a very niche market, but you think it is one of the biggest markets. So I'm sure there's a lot of competition, right? What does the competition and the market landscape right now in 2025 look like? How big is the market? What worth is the sober or the sobriety wave? And who all are you competing with?
So great question actually. So when I say I don't think it's a niche market, but the world hasn't realized the potential of it, right? That's how I put it. Because I see it every year, like year on year, like we've been growing like crazy, like it's like rapid to the point where 2025 I think has been one of the, everybody would agree, like it's a very wellness wave year. Like it just started off like that, where everything from a pickleball or a paddle to all your, I see people doing fitness in water or something, like there are a lot of brands doing that as well. All your runs like with Bhak Club and all those places. That's where socializing is happening right now, right? But when you do such socializing where you're looking after your body, you're looking after what you're consuming, the one thing that I still notice is like, I don't know, like I see a lot of people going to the gym and they're like, yeah, but I'm not going to eat this today, I worked out. But you see them drinking again on a Friday night. Why? Because there are not enough options in the market, right? To answer your question in a very humble way, we don't have competition. If more people were doing this, then they will be. So why in the US and UK it's booming like crazy? Because A, the idea was consumer thought, let's get more wellness focused. But B, there were brands catering to that as well. So it was a good mix over there. Here it's just
we have zero ABV beers. Don't you think they are also a good competition? And there are so many restaurants who have curated non-alcoholic cocktail menus.
So any restaurant that has created a good non-alcoholic cocktail menu, chances are we're part of it.
Unlike traditional mocktails, these sober drinks are crafted to replicate the complexity and flavor profile of alcoholic cocktails. For instance, the tequila-based spicy picante is all the rage in Delhi NCR, but many bars and restaurants serve non-alcoholic picante with the same spicy coriander flavor. These non-alcoholic craft cocktails also involve raw ingredients and mixology techniques like clarifications and fat washes that elevate the drinking experience. Many use non-alcoholic spirits, bitters, infusions, and garnishes that replicate the traditional cocktails.
Any ingredient or technique during this process, like you mentioned, it was a long process to get everything right. I mean, whiskey alone, it took you 2.5 years. Was there any ingredient or any technique during this process that sort of became very crucial to making sober spirits?
So not really. I'll be very honest about it. So technique, again, we won't dive into it. But we've been very blessed in, I would say, just last year, I don't know if you're aware of it, we were very lucky enough to pick a strategic round by Diageo India, right? So whatever we sell now in the market, it went from their side, there was a lot of expertise that went into it, right? Because that's best in the best. Like that's the best, like, they know exactly how a whiskey should taste like, how a gin should taste like, or any spirit in the world should taste like. So there was a bit back and forth in terms of getting the formulation right. The technique has still been the same. The technique hasn't changed, and that's not something we're working towards either. Because the way we make it, I feel like it's the best way. And I've consumed many non-alcoholic spirits even worldwide, right? Like we've been part of many tastings in the UK, in Hong Kong as well, where people have come back to us and they're like, how did you get it this right? So the technique has remained the same, but obviously the ingredients, the flavors, the botanicals, they change all the time, right? Because it's not, you don't know what you don't know, right? It cannot be that, okay, I decided something in 2020, this is how my gin is going to taste. In 2025, that's exactly, I want to keep it like that, right? Because it is a white space. Like, there's no competition I can look at and be like, okay, they're doing a better whiskey, I want to be like them. But if nobody's doing a non-alcoholic whiskey, I want to compete with myself and keep making a better whiskey. So that's been the process, and that's been challenging.
How many zero proof cocktails you have on your menu?
So we have a separate section for sober cocktails in our menu.
Okay.
So we are doing 4 cocktails in that.
Okay. And what went behind, like, how much effort has gone behind creating the sober drinks as compared to the alcoholic?
Same.
Okay.
So all the process, the clarification, making foam and carbonation, so it all goes into these cocktails.
Could you like dissect the steps, the process of making any one of your favorite sober drinks?
Okay.
But like we want like to the tea detail.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's a cocktail in a menu, cocoa bananas.
Okay.
So it's coconut and banana. So it's made with a sober gin, white gin. And so we cook the banana with sugar and the dry coconut. We cook it, then we infuse it in the gin. We sous vide it. The sous vide method, we cook it with the alcohol.
Okay.
So the flavors got infused in the alcohol.
Right.
So that's one process that goes into it. Then second, we clarify it with coconut milk.
Okay.
So lemon and milk, the milk gets separated. So we filter it out. So it's a clear cocktail. And on top of that, we make a foam with pineapple and coconut. So it's a hot foam actually.
Okay.
The drink is cold, but the hot is foam.
Foam is
the
hot.
foam is hot.
Yeah.
So we top up the drink with the hot foam.
Okay.
So that's the
and
most
at
unique
what price?
cocktail.
At what price does that?
So
drink
that one
sit?
is for $5.95.
$5.95. Do you think that consumers are willing to pay that kind of money for a?
I think the process that's involved in that drink, I think we can charge that, and the guests will be happy to pay for it.
So, have you got any like response
Yeah,
from consumers on that particular drink?
That it's the most favorite cocktail.
Okay.
Yeah.
At your restaurant,
Yeah.
at this restaurant.
Yeah.
However, this level of craftsmanship comes at a cost.
What's the price difference between a cocktail that is
Half.
half?
Half, yeah.
So if
typically that's how we sell it at. If a drink is for 1,000, that's an alcoholic cocktail. This is probably 500.
And if you talk about the bottle,
In the
for example, the sober
retail-
whiskey, let's say.
Yeah, so we retail at about $19.99.
Okay.
But then hard to compare it to anything, right? Because your whiskeys
Yeah.
could start lower also, but then you have your
Right.
gold labels and blue labels of the world as well.
Of course, of
But
course.
yeah, but we try to be in a premium segment, but it's not a I can't afford it segment for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that considering it's a very price sensitive market, do you think this category has the potential to grow or evolve or like emerge as something substantiate or a substantiate player of the market, like competing with, let's say, the matchas, the bubble teas, or the kombuchas of the world?
See, like you're saying from a trend perspective, you never know what can become a trend. Like no one expected matcha. In fact, I met someone who used to import matcha and said, like, I struggled for 4-5 years and then I stopped doing matcha, bringing matcha to India. And then suddenly 3 years later, the matcha was everywhere. So, trends, you can never prejudge what will become a cool thing. As a category, it's a nice thing, but I don't see it's going really, really crazy because there is a replacement to it. Like matcha doesn't require a replacement. Matcha by itself is a product. But whereas the sober drinks doesn't need not to be consumed 100%, because you can also fix non-alcoholic drinks using just basic juices, spirits and all that stuff, basic juices and fresh fruits and all that stuff. So it is not the only thing that can make a sober drink. Hence, the success ratio will be a little lower. But yes, people will drink it because of the population that we have in the country and the money that people have to spend on all these things. It will do decent business, but I don't see it will be like a mega success or something like that.
When did you notice the sober or zero ABV drinks, cocktails becoming like,
Last year.
last year? And why do you think, because it can't be COVID, because COVID happened some 5 years back.
Yeah.
So what triggered or what led to this trend in India?
I think social media.
Okay.
So now kids are really want to go out Like the coffee rave is also in the trend.
Yeah, matcha, bubble tea, yeah, right.
So the kids want to party. The kids want to show off.
Yeah.
But obviously they cannot consume alcohol, or even we cannot serve them alcohol. So that's the main reason. I think.
The sober category too has its share of problems and misconceptions.
The only problem that this particular category faced, that the bottle of seedlip costed more than the bottle of gin in India. And India is a very price sensitive market. People prefer to buy things at a lower cost. Even right now, a lot of non-alcoholic brands that exist in the market are very highly priced. It's obviously because of the production process that they go through and everything. But what happens because of all this is it becomes very unreachable for people. For a lot of people, it doesn't make economical sense. Now, as I mentioned initially, a virgin mojito is also a sober drink. So now, why will someone add a non-alcoholic drink to it and make it double the price or triple the price? So that was the confusion that people had. In regards to bars in India, every bar has a non-alcoholic menu. You can't run a bar in this country or a restaurant in this country without a non-alcoholic menu. I'll explain you why. Because India as a country has a very lower number of people who drink alcohol. We do have very large number because of the population that we have, but as a percentage, it's a very small number. But whenever you open a restaurant and bar, mostly Indian restaurants traditionally are family restaurants, and when you go as a family, you tend not to drink because either it's the two kids who are underage, so kids don't drink in front of parents. Then one is driving and one is saying like, why should I drink alone? So if you see from an economical sense or an operational sense, it made more sense to have non-alcoholic drinks in the menu, because out of 4 people, a family of 4, you have 3 people who are actually drinking non-alcoholic. A max 1 person or 2 person will drink cocktails. So people have always been focusing on non-alcoholic drinks, and from an economical perspective or the cost perspective, non-alcoholic drinks are much more cheaper to make, and they fetch you more profit margins. So it also makes a lot of sense for restaurants to actually push it. So these non-alcoholic programs have always been going in every bar. You will always find in a menu of 12 cocktails, you will find 4 to 5 non-alcoholic drinks being served. Obviously, they never got much attention towards it. They were standard drinks that people were enjoying. But slowly and steadily, that has become a little more serious. What is happening now with the sober trend that is coming into market, the non-alcoholic drinks are getting equal amount of seriousness or attention that a cocktail used to get. Bartenders spend days and days to create one amazing cocktail with a beautiful garnish and glassware. Mocktails were traditionally put everything into hurricane glass, blend it, shake it, put it in a Now that has changed. So people have realized that, if people having cocktail can have fun, why can't the people who are not drinking should have a good fun as well? And that's why these non-alcoholic drinks have become much more serious. In fact, I was seeing.
But in this, do you think a non-alcoholic individual would be willing to pay double the price of what he pays for a mocktail?
If you think from a psychological perspective, consumer will only pay lesser amount than cocktails for a non-alcoholic drink. You can't match it. So in your mind, it's very simple. They expect when a cocktail is served, there is spirit that is being added, and that's what makes the cost higher. A mocktail is always lower price. People will never pay higher price than cocktails or equal price to a cocktail for a non-alcoholic drink from a cost perspective. But having said that, there is a huge chunk of people in the country who are well loaded, who never see the right side of the menu. They only look at the left side, which is the ingredients, the name and everything. They don't have to, because of the financial background they come from, they don't have to see the price point of a drink. Hence, they end up ordering these things as well. So some premium outlets where these things exist. For example, if you go to Comrins of the world, which is in one horizon, they have a nice non-alcoholic soda and everything, which is very rightly priced, little higher and everything, and people tend to drink that. They also have a lot of non-alcoholic beverages being sold from there, because again, people who are coming there, they're not coming to on a tight budget. They are there to experience something new, and that's how it is happening. That's enjoying that. So sober movement in India, I'll say, like, from a sober drink category perspective, like a 0.0 proof kind of a thing. I'll not say it is full blown gone into the market and become a big success. It has just started right now. It will grow because we have a huge population who don't drink alcohol.
When we talk about zero ABV cocktails or alcohol, there's a lot of misconception that I'm telling you the two biggest. A is that it's going to be very sweet.
Right.
Right? And B, that, okay, why should it can be easily replaced by like a kombucha, let's say, because kombucha is also far more healthier
Healthier than what?
than probably a zero.
Not a sober. No, of course not.
Okay.
So so all these products are better for you. I won't get into the health angle of it because none of them are maybe kombuchas are. I'm not well versed with kombucha, but again, I go back to the same thing, right? When you think about a nice fancy dinner, you think about a wine, right? When you think about let's enjoy with the boys or my girls or whatever, watch a football game, you think about a beer. You think about all your uncles catching up at a nice gentleman's club or cigar lounge, think of a nice whiskey.
Yeah.
But they don't drink anymore. Then what are you making them have? They're not going to have a kombucha there, right? Are you going to have a kombucha at a cigar lounge, right? You're not going to have it. So those are all alternatives that hands down, they're catering to the right market and it's helping all of us, right?
Right.
But like I said initially, we're trying to be the 1:1 replacement to what you like already.
Right.
We're not changing anything out of it. We're not telling you alcohol is bad, have a kombucha instead.
Okay.
Or alcohol is bad, have a Diet Coke instead,
Right.
Whatever you feel about alcohol, that's a personal choice. But if you think you can drink moderately or maybe not at all, then sober is the best friend. That's how we try to pitch it.
Another misconception is, and which I think this is one of the biggest misconception that zero ABV would mean that it's like another sweetened mocktail.
Correct. I mean, so it would, when you go to the mixers that exist, right? And if you call them as a cocktail in a can or something, then obviously that has sugar, right? And that misconception is pretty much true, right? I mean, I wouldn't call it a misconception also, but because when people make non-alcoholic menus at most of the bars that I spoke about as well that we are present in, they end up making the sober menu using sober, which defeats the purpose of why we started sober in the first place, right? That's where we hired a team for on ground, and we try to tell them, if you're selling a sober cocktail, which is zero proof obviously, make it a conscious cocktail. Let's not add syrups to it. Let's not add sugar to it.
Although the term sober movement comes from the West, non-alcoholic drinks have always been part of the Indian culture. For ages, people have been sipping beverages like nimbu pani, shikanji, aam panna, and fruit punch. They were sober, refreshing, and all natural. But these weren't seen as cool until more recently. As the West embraced sobriety, Indians were quick to follow. Alongside traditional favorites, newer craft cocktails and zero-proof spirits are gaining ground. Now, will this just be another trend? Or could sober-style drinks become a dominant force in the non-alcoholic category in India? Well, this depends on two things: how great these non-alcoholic liquids taste and how much value people place on paying extra for a premium experience.